So with the story, Mike Brown was walking, and the cop came up and told him to get out. So I was just curious. So Mike Brown came up and rushed the cop and hit him in the door. They were struggling and it got out of hand, and the cop brought out his gun and shot Mike Brown. They say Mike Brown was running away and he was bleeding. The cop was still behind the car. The friend said the cop shot him in the back as he was running. He said he had his hands up while he was looking at the cop and told him not to shoot. And the cop shot him anyway. And he fell to the ground and was bleeding. Another story from Tiffany. Her story was that she saw Mike Brown right next to the door where the cop was, and they were fighting. Mike Brown's hands were down against the cop. I'm not really exactly sure what happened. Someone else got their phone out and started recording. Shots were fired, but the camera didn't catch it all. Everything was very confusing. Ultimately, the cop shot him. Everyone said that his hands are up, but he kept shooting and he fell to the ground. The cop's name is Officer Darren Wilson. He claimed it was self-defense. Cop was taking notes of the crime scene. Someone else started validating the cop's story, but then other people were saying it was false. Cop had an injured face from where the struggle happened. He went to the hospital and he was sick and shaken up. He was taking paid time off because of what had happened. People wanted to know who that cop was that killed that boy. Later, it was his name was finally released to the press that it was Darren Wilson who had shot the boy. After all the media and gossip had finished, later, the cameras caught the boy on the ground, but missed the whole entire scene. One man on the side was trying to tell the story to everyone. One man said that Mike Brown was trying to run. The cop kept shooting. He missed, and the guy was running at me, and he wouldn't stop. I'm not sure if the story matched what the evidence said, but there were different stories. People were confused on who did what. The cop shared his story on what happened before, but it was different from what Mike Brown's friend had shared. As they were investigating it, they continued to get more and more confused. The family hired a lawyer who wanted them to look into the case. No one could figure out which story was right. Darren Wilson had a story and the eyewitnesses had another one, but no one knew what was going on. People were gossiping and talking, and no one really saw it, so it's he said, she said. So every day it was a constant battle discussing what happened. Every day, day by day, the story was changed. Someone else had something to say. They were debating something else, throwing ideas back and forth. The government had to get involved. Finally, the state of Missouri started taking care of the situation. People were so angry. The state of Missouri had to tell Darren Wilson he needed time off. It was on a Monday night. Chaos was happening. Two people got shot. People from all over kept coming to Missouri in order to support Mike Brown. All sorts of different people. Everything was total chaos. What we did know about Mike Brown is that there were 6 bullet holes in his item that went through him or were still in him. It's up to the investigators to find out how exactly they got there. If it was murder, if it was self-defense. That was up to the judge. Two bullet holes were in the head. Obviously, you can't live if a bullet goes through your brain. The body, notice that there was a struggle. There were marks on the knuckles of Mike Brown. Those did match Darren Wilson's story. The two stories were so completely opposite, but both plausible, that no one knew what to think. parents went to the church asking for support. You have their lawyer with them discussing the story, trying to get justice for their son. It was the Missouri PD against the Brown family. There's so much tension, stress, so many emotions. It was hard to make an unbiased ruling. The story in the church is that he grew up and he was a good kid. He had a good family. He wasn't a thug who would do something like that. There's a lot of trouble in the world. So the cop went to court. And it was a mess.